Welcome to the Winter Outlook 2019 and 20 for the Northern Rockies from the National Weather Service Office, Missoula, Montana. So before we start our outlook for November through March, we're going to look back at October, which happened to be a record cold period for all of Montana. The Great Basin, northern Wyoming, all had a very cold October. In fact, Missoula, Salmon, and Butte will set their their record for their all-time coldest November. So, let's talk about the state of the oceans. We're in ENSO neutral conditions in the equatorial Pacific. It's these water temperatures and their anomalies that set the stage for weather patterns in the mid-latitudes up where we are. This year, we're under neutral conditions. There's no anomaly for above and below normal temperatures. That forecast is going to persist through next spring with ENSO neutral conditions. So how does this ENSO neutral event impact the Northern Rockies? Well, as I say every year, it's a seasonal outlook. There's going to be cold, there's going to be snow, there's going to be, from time to time, and there's going to be variability. But the question with winter events is, how often and to what intensity might they occur? And we'll talk about variability. ENSO neutral years do not show a seasonal warm or cold bias, or a snowy or dry winter. We've had 22 neutral events since in the last 70 years. However, some of our coldest and snowiest winter events have occurred during ENSO neutral years. Christmas '96, for people who were around here about 20 years ago, remember that week of Christmas where we had over 40 inches of snow in a week. And our coldest temperature in Missoula was 33 degrees below zero, and that occurred back in the winter of 1956 and 7. Now, La Nina years show a higher frequency of snow events and higher snowpack, and strong El Nino years show a really good signal for less frequent Arctics and less frequent snow events and less snowpack. So, variability with all neutral events in Missoula, Montana. I want to mainly show this graph mainly shows the variability from different ENSO neutral years. This TD is the temperature departure from normal. So these are all events that had departure from normal 20 degrees below normal, or in other words, Arctic events. Our most recent was in 2013 and 14. We had 4 Arctic events. So this is an example of winter 2013 and 14 of variability throughout the season of 1 year. So we had 4 distinct cold events, which the actual minimum temperature here was minus 12 degrees, and we were 22 degrees below zero here in early February. That was a huge event in which we saw temperatures at Seeley Lake of 40 degrees below zero. This graph represents Missoula, Montana. So we had our third cold or Arctic event towards the end of the month in early March. But we did have some stretches of warm period here from mid-December through mid-January, for example. Snowpack is probably the best indicator of if during a La Nina or El Nino event. During La Nina events, like I alluded to earlier, we have more frequent snow events. So our snowpack is above normal during those moderate and strong La Nina years. During a strong El Nino year, that snowpack is below normal and has been below normal for every strong El Nino year. During neutral years, there's no signal. Just looking back at the last 4 years, here in the Bitterroot, we were near normal in 2002, slightly below normal in 04 and 13, and above normal in 2014. And if you even look further back at other years, there's quite the variability. So no strong signal for snowpack. However, some of our most extreme years for cold temperatures have occurred during neutral years. 7 of the 10 coldest temperatures we've ever recorded in Missoula occurred during neutral events. In fact, 27 of the 51 events we've had, or 53%, have occurred during neutral years. And that is a telling signal for snowfall as well. Whenever we have a neutral year, if we do get significant snows, most of our significant snows above 4 or 6 inches have occurred during neutral years. So here's the national outlook for the seasonal outlook December through February from the Climate Prediction Center this winter. And these maps really don't tell us much for western Montana. There's no clear signal or strong confidence or indication that shows above, below, or normal temperature and precipitation. So what's the best way to look at a longer term forecast? Well, that's going to be with our 6 to 10 or 8 to 14 day outlook, and it may be useful for general 1 to 2 week planning purposes. Looking at this graph here in the bottom left, these graphs basically show the confidence that the Climate Prediction Center has that we're going to be, in this particular graph, below normal temperatures. And here they have like a 90% confidence or strong bullseye that we will be cold. And this was issued October 21st of this year. And lo and behold, in the last week of October, we had some extreme cold temperatures. Some places set their record cold temperature for the day. And so there was high confidence in that. So what did we do at the Missoula office to what did we do to advertise this? Well, our social media is our big means to advertise these big changes. And when we look at a 1 to 2 week outlook that has high confidence in doing that, we're going to attack that pretty hard and get out information as far as what we're expecting and when. So when we do that, hopefully that'll get people's attention and they'll follow the weather more closely as time gets closer to that particular event. So you can go to our webpage, weather.gov, or our Twitter page, NWS Missoula. Same with Facebook, NWS Missoula. And whenever there is a big event expected, we will do some briefings that go out on YouTube at this website. And to start the season, you'll probably want to go and look at our winter safety tips video that we do have on our website. So in summary, ENSO neutral conditions are present and forecast through the spring of 2020. Little, if any, signals across the Northern Rockies for above, below normal precipitation, snowfall, and temperature. Snowpack varies during neutral years. We will have winter events. We will have some cold. We will have snow events. The frequency of events is uncertain. However, some of these events during neutral years have produced some extreme cold and significant snowfall. Monitor the 8 to 14 day outlooks. As mentioned, it's a good indicator to show high confidence for big changes. NWS Missoula, as mentioned earlier, weather stories, social media are excellent sources to monitor the long-term outlooks, and as we get closer for a pattern change, those timing for those pattern changes. So that's it for our winter outlook this season. Thank you all, and have a safe winter.